What did you think of Oprah Winfrey's interview with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex?
It was heartbreaking, actually. You got a family where there's a big rift, and some of the things that Meghan and Harry said were quite distressing. But at the end of the day, I think it is possible to somebody who's a fan of Her Majesty the Queen, somebody who thinks highly of Charles and William, and to also think highly of Harry and Meghan, and be heartbroken that there is a family that's clearly having real strains and struggles, as many families do.
He's clearly very bruised by the withdrawal of security. I just wondered whether or not the Met is still responsible for intelligence, as in analysing threats to him and his family.
I'm not aware about that.
Okay.
He's not in this country. But I'll make this point from personal experience, which is one of the reasons why I accepted police protection. I declined it for some time, was because of concerns put to me about the safety of my family when I'm with them, and my staff when I'm with them. And so I completely empathise with Harry's concerns about the safety of his wife and, at the moment, one child and children. It is really difficult when you're told by experts, because of either the job you're doing, or because of your ethnicity or religion, or because of the fact you're Prince Harry, you yourself and your family are at risk. And you can understand why you want to keep your family safe. And so when he was explaining during Oprah about the real-time decisions he was having to take because of the withdrawal of protection in Canada, it was heartbreaking to watch, because, I have complete empathy with that.
Have you ever had conversations about the potential skin colour of babies with one or two ethnic minority parents?
Never, no. And I've got members of my family who are mixed race, so it's... beggars belief. I remember you and I may have had a conversation when somebody did a tweet about a photograph about what Prince Harry's child looked like last year. I don't want to go into that for obvious reasons, but that's. And both you and I were appalled by that and stuff. But it is something that I'm sure the royal family are looking into and stuff. And it is. I've made this point, by the way. I remember I've been to Grenfell many times, James, but I particularly remember going to Grenfell community in the days after Meghan had been there. And I got to tell you, she touched people's lives in ways nobody had. And I've also met, and I myself am a good example of somebody who talks about mental ill health, because Harry and William and others gave me the confidence to do so. So I think we've got to be a bit careful about assuming that because you think Her Majesty's wonderful and Charles and William is wonderful, you can't also think Harry and Meghan are wonderful. And it's not. This black and white stuff is not good in relation to, you either like somebody and hate the other person. It is really sad what's happened.
Let's talk about something truly powerful. When empathy meets truth. When compassion trumps prejudice. And when a public figure dares to speak out against the hate-filled nonsense that the tabloids keep spewing. Yes, I'm talking about London's own Mayor, Sadiq Khan, who openly expressed understanding and support for Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex after their eye-opening interview with Oprah Winfrey. Now, let's rewind to that legendary Oprah interview, the one that shook the palace walls and left royal commentators clutching their pearls like their entire paycheck depended on it. Oh wait, it kind of does. The world watched as Harry and Meghan finally spoke their truth, pulling back the curtain on the emotional turmoil, racism, and institutional neglect they faced. And while the media twisted their words faster than you can say Daily Mail headline, there were some people who actually got it. One of those people was Sadiq Khan. And honestly, it was refreshing. Here's a man who's no stranger to discrimination, who's faced his own battles against racism, standing up and saying, "Hold on, this is about humanity." He didn't try to dance around the issue or sugarcoat it. He said what needed to be said, that what Harry and Meghan went through was heartbreaking, and that their concerns about safety and mental health were completely valid. Now, you'd think this kind of compassion would be the norm, right? Nope. In the royal-watching world, empathy seems to be rationed out like gold dust. The moment Meghan talked about her mental health struggles, parts of the British press acted like she confessed to a crime. But Sadiq Khan, he got it. He said he understood Harry's fears about keeping his wife and children safe because he himself has experienced threats due to his ethnicity and position. That's not politics. That's humanity. And let's be real, Harry's security situation has always been one of the most infuriating double standards out there. Here's a man born into one of the most famous families in the world who literally served in Afghanistan, being told he's not entitled to police protection after stepping back from royal duties. Meanwhile, certain royals with far less public service and far more scandal seem to enjoy taxpayer-funded protection like it's a birthright. Make it make sense. When Sadiq Khan spoke about that moment in the Oprah interview where Harry talked about his family losing security while living in Canada, he said it broke his heart. Because it wasn't just about privilege, it was about safety. Harry wasn't asking for luxury, he was asking to protect his wife and their child. That's what any responsible husband and father would do. And Meghan, through it all, remained dignified, honest and deeply human, something her critics wouldn't recognize even if it was wearing a tiara and waving from a balcony. Now, let's address the elephant in the royal room: race. When Oprah asked about those infamous concerns raised by a royal family member over what Archie's skin colour might be, the world collectively gasped. And Sadiq Khan didn't shy away from that either. He called it what it was: unacceptable. As a man of colour, he understood exactly how damaging and dehumanizing those kinds of comments can be. He didn't excuse it, he didn't spin it. He said plainly that it beggars belief. And that's what we've needed all along. People willing to call out the rot, instead of pretending it's just tradition. Because, let's be honest, tradition doesn't mean oppression. You can't hide behind a crown to excuse discrimination. Meghan's mere presence in the royal family should have been a symbol of modern progress. Instead, she was treated like an intruder who dared to bring a little too much sunlight into the dusty palace halls. But Sadiq Khan saw through the noise. He saw how Meghan touched lives during her time as a working royal. He remembered visiting the Grenfell community after she had been there and hearing people speak about how genuinely she connected with them. No cameras, no PR stunt, just compassion. That's what the media refuses to show, because it doesn't fit their Diva Duchess narrative. What really stands out about Sadiq Khan's comments is how he reminded everyone that supporting the Sussexes doesn't mean disrespecting the rest of the royal family. It's not some twisted loyalty contest. You can respect the Queen and still empathise with Harry and Meghan. You can admire Charles and still acknowledge that the institution failed its youngest son. But for the tabloids, everything has to be a war. Meghan versus Kate, Harry versus William, truth versus palace PR. It's exhausting. And let's be real, folks, the Sussexes' story is not just about royalty. It's about courage in the face of cruelty, love over duty, and authenticity over image. They took the blows, the hate campaigns, and the lies, and still stood tall. Meghan's advocacy for mental health, women's empowerment, and racial justice didn't stop because she left the palace. In fact, it amplified. And Harry's continued work with Invictus and mental health awareness proves that stepping away from the royal fold wasn't running away, it was breaking free. Sadiq Khan recognised that. He said Meghan's voice and representation were transformative, that she inspired young women of colour to own their space, to speak up, to refuse to shrink for anyone. and he's right. That's why she gets under the skin of certain British tabloids, because she represents everything they can't control. So, to those who keep saying, why can't Harry and Meghan just move on? Maybe start by letting them live without constant media harassment. They have moved on. It's the press that can't, because their headlines don't sell without the Sussexes' names in them. As Sadiq Khan wisely put it, the real challenge is for us to choose empathy over judgment, to listen instead of condemn, and to build a society that sees value in every story, every voice, and every person, regardless of their skin color, background, or the headlines written about them. And honestly, that's what Harry and Meghan have stood for from the start: humanity over hierarchy. So, as we wrap this up, let's take a page from Sadiq Khan's book. Let's lead with compassion, not criticism. Let's celebrate courage, not conformity. And let's never forget, when people tell their truth, the least we can do is listen. Thank you all for tuning in to Sussexes Squad. If you love this deep dive and believe in spreading truth and positivity, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with someone who still believes kindness can change the world. Drop your thoughts below. Do you think Sadiq Khan's support shows a turning point in how people view the Sussexes? Let's get that conversation going, because here we don't just talk, we set the record straight.